The River of Scouting by Jay Kempinger. He was a new scout, like spring rain, gathering purpose, looking for direction, following in the footsteps of those that came before him. Here, Edward learned the Scout Oath and the Scout Law in their meetings. Also, he attended his first winter camp, which happened to be the last camp out at Camp Straight. Soon he became tenderfoot, like runoff from the rain. Influenced by the lay of the land, he slowly began to make his way, often meandering, though quickly prodded to return to the intended course. As a tenderfoot, Edward learned some first aid skills and what was meant by keeping oneself physically strong. Also, he spent his first night aboard the USS Lexington, which was soon to become a favorite. Now second class, his course more defined, much like a cool running brook. He feels his way between the rocks and the obstacles, discovering, learning. Some of the skills Edward learned was how to use a compass and how to build a campfire. He attended his first summer camp, Camp Hale in Oklahoma. While first class, he's like a narrow creek, prodding the woodlands in search of adventures that lie ahead, wandering, testing, broadening his knowledge and abilities in the wisdom of the wood. To earn first class, Edward had to prepare his first meal for his patrol and learn about a safe trip afloat. He went on his first canoeing camp out. Then he became Star. Like a clear running stream, he begins a swifter, more serious path. He begins to return to nature, refreshment, like the younger scouts that come to drink from his knowledge. During this time, Edward served as a troop librarian and went to his second winter camp. He earned several merit badges, including swimming and genealogy. Triumphantly, he was life. Like the mighty river flowing ever forward, he begins to make his own path. The community, the land, is nourished from his banks. The scout spirit is alive in him. Here, Edward stayed for about a year and a half, while accomplishing many tasks, including taking on the role of senior patrol leader. He went on his best trip yet, his first high adventure to Canada. Humbly, he is Eagle. Like a great ocean, starting from a single drop of rain, he has traveled far, growing, reaching, forging ahead. He has endured. The Scout Oath and the Scout Law flow from his heart. His waters touch the shores of distant places, where men stand and proclaim his victory. Proudly, he is an eagle. You can take a seat. Ed is one of the first Eagle Scouts in the troop that I had for his entire scouting career. I wasn't scoutmaster for the entire time, but I was here for his entire career. We've had many adventures. Started with his first winter camp. It was cold and wet. We were huddled under a shelter and a campsite in the rain when a tent collapsed and was submerged in water. Just then, Ed returned to camp and saw it was his. He didn't bat an eye. He walked in the downpour and started dragging out his gear and his clothes from the puddle that was his tent, and started hanging his stuff in the rafters of our shelter. For a normal first-year scout, cold and wet, this would have been the end of camp. I waited for the belly aching to start. It never did. He was all smiles. He didn't know it at this time, but his actions that day kept other scouts from giving up. The smallest, youngest scout, if he could do it, no one else was going to quit. Later on in his scouting career, Ed showed his courage and skills. When on his way to a scout meeting, he encountered a car accident. He kept a level head and became a calming influence for a mother holding an injured baby until the paramedics arrived. Very proud. Ed took on the most challenging position any scout can hold, senior patrol leader. Senior patrol leader is a very challenging position. Any scout who's been through it very rarely wants to do it twice. It's a volunteer. You volunteer for the position and you're elected by the troop. And Ed did a great job. This summer we paddled 60 miles together. In our hardest day, we had driving rain, 1 to 2 foot waves, a couple of canoes rolled over. Ed pushed through. Even this year, after completing all the requirements for Eagle, Ed has stayed with the troop, continuing to attend meetings and even winter camp. Becoming an Eagle in Troop 1114 is more than just checking the boxes in the scout book. Here, you must become a leader, have honor, provide selfless service, and live your life by the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. Ed, I'm proud of all your accomplishments. Your future is bright. You deserve this rank. Enjoy your day.
Now I'll call up Mr. Green for additional comments.
Hello, my name is Charles Green. I was an assistant scoutmaster for the majority of Ed's scouting experience thus far. This is my very first Eagle Court of Honor and consider it an honor and a privilege to speak on Edward's behalf. Being that I am new to the Eagle Court of Honor ceremony, I asked, what should I speak about? It was relayed to me that I should speak about Ed's experiences in scouting and otherwise. So many experiences. Where to start? Where to start? Ed started his journey to Eagle by joining Cub Scouts, as many others do, and abruptly quit. By Ed's standards, Cub Scouts was boring, and living in a house full of scouts, he may have had insight the rest of us do not. To his credit and commitment, he joined the Boy Scouts at an early age, being the first of his academic class to join Troop 1114. As others in his age group completed Cub Scouts, and with Ed being in Boy Scouts for months already, the new patrol was formed. A new patrol was formed in Troop 1114. Ed was elected the first patrol leader of the new Phoenix Patrol. Ed was the natural selection, you see. His knowledge of Boy Scouts from his family and time at Troop exceeded all his peers. All the adults knew it. He knew it. And although he probably would have wanted to be with the older Scouts, he bravely accepted the challenge of patrol leadership. What a challenge it was. 5 boys, ages 10 to 11, rarely agree on anything, and Ed struggled. Herding cats would be an apt description, but as he struggled, he learned, adapted, and grew. As Ed tired, he persevered. I was impressed, and so were others that watched his first steps into leadership and commitment. Campouts and troop events go by. The single greatest change I have witnessed in Ed's scouting career came with NYLT. NYLT, or National Youth Leadership Training, is a course put on by the Boy Scouts to promote leadership skills. The hype is incredible. Give us your kid for a week, and you won't know your child when they return. It really reminds me of a late-night infomercial. Ed attended this training as soon as he was allowed to do so and came back completely transformed. Energized and exuberant, he took on the role of assistant patrol leader in the troop. The following leadership term, he was elected senior patrol leader for the troop. Being the first SPL from his academic age group was again a challenge. Leading an entire troop of older and younger scouts is difficult. Again, as Ed tired, he again persevered. It was not easy. But, but as his interpersonal skills increased with his knowledge, his leadership ability began to become more pronounced. More campouts and troop events go by. I've spoken largely about Ed's growth as a person and a leader, but I do not wish to underemphasize the countless hours it took to get us here today. Without his planning, commitment to scouting's ideals, training, community service, personal drive, active participation, we would not be here today. Most of all, Ed, please thank your parents for the things I just mentioned. Ed, to this day, is still actively involved in the troop. I notice him involved in mentoring younger scouts, are participating in a wide array of events, passively or actively leading, passively or actively participating as needed. He has evolved. More campouts and troop events go by. Things did not always go perfectly for Ed. I would now like to talk about being stuck on cliff sides, accidents in all-terrain vehicles, and some really intense arguments. My time's done? Okay. As Ed's life has been enriched by his path towards the Eagle rank, Ed has and will continue to enrich the lives of those with whom he is associated, myself included. What I have experienced with Edward Herzog during his journey to Eagle, what I experienced with Edward Herzog during his journey to Eagle, I have seen the immature become mature, the cocky become confident, the reckless become responsible, and the child become a fine young man. Edward Herzog, I congratulate you on your accomplishments of attaining the Eagle rank. As this chapter starts to close, I remind you there are many, many other chapters to be written. Write them well. Thank you.
Ed, as a scout, tenderfoot, second class, first class, star, life, and now Eagle Scout, you have continued to show scout spirit. You earned additional merit badges, bringing your total to 34. As a troop leader, you developed, planned, and led others in the Eagle Service Project for the community that totaled more than 125 hours of service. Your project was to build 2 picnic tables for the Outdoor Learning Center and a buddy bench for the playground at Turlington Elementary and Waller ISD.
So, my first mentor pin I would like to give to would be Mr. Green, if you could come up here. So, Mr. Green, throughout my scouting career, whenever I was FCE, he guided me. He led the FCE program after Mr. Crutchmeyer stepped down from SCE. He built it up. He gave us scouts a building block to what we need to know. So, I'd like to give one to you, Mr. Green. And then I have one more, the second one I'd like to give to Mr. Keck. So Mr. Keck, after Mr. Venezuela stepped down, our troop wasn't in the best of shape. Mr. Keck built this troop up to what it is now. He has pushed me throughout my FTE career. During STAR, he pushed me, and during Life, he's pushed me to get all my merit badges. And then in Eagle, while I was trying to get Eagle, he pushed me to get my Eagle Scout project done, and was always there for me if I ever needed him. So, thank you, Mr. Keck.
Ed, it's my privilege and honor to welcome you to the rank of Eagle Scout. May the oath you have taken remain in your heart always. Ladies and gentlemen, Scouts, I'm proud to present you with Eagle Scout Edward Herzog.
Now Edward will give the Eagle response and thank yous.
I want to extend a special thank you to many people who donated money, especially to McCoy's for many of the supplies needed to build the project, and thanks to Walmart and Arlen's for donating supplies to feed the people that helped out on the project. Those people include Blake Green, Riley Meaves, Zachary Gray, Ian Keck, Matthew Gerthy, Mr. Keck, Mr. Meaves, Mr. Green, Miss Gray, Aubrey Herzog, Evan Herzog, and my parents. And lastly, thanks to my pop for letting us use his shop. Getting here was hard. There were many tasks ahead of me. Let's recall a few of them. Maybe the times I would always injure myself at random campouts, like the time on the Frio, whenever I tried to do that double front flip off of a 15-foot ledge, but did a 1.5 front flip and knocked the wind out of me. Also, there was a time whenever we were hiking at Pike Davis with Mr. Keck, and he was like, "Oh guys, I know it. It's to the right. There's camp." And a lot of us were saying, "No, Mr. Keck, we think it's to the left." But we got a mile detour, got our hiking in for that day, so that was good. But in all seriousness, thank you, Mr. Keck. You truly made an impact on my life and the lives of the Scouts in Troop 1114. To all the Life Scouts out there, your time is ticking. Do not wait. Don't be a lifer for life. So I plan on staying active in the troop and helping others obtain Eagle. I also plan on using what I have learned in scouting, hopefully by going to West Point in the future, but definitely in the Army as a military police, and hopefully later on becoming a member of the Special Response Team in the United States Army. After serving my time, I plan on going into the SWAT or becoming a police officer. Thank you everyone for attending my Eagle Scout Court of Honor.